Let's go over 3 of the most common mistakes you'll find people making in street photography. The first one is going to be using a neck strap or a shoulder strap, whatever you want to call it. But using one of these long straps that connects your camera to your body, honestly, just gets in the way. It feels like it's convenient, you have your camera always on you, but to be honest, it means you can't get your camera far enough away from your body to be able to experiment with different angles. Instead, try using something like a wrist strap. This one is from Peak Design and uses the same like little anchor system as the neck strap that I've got. And having this just mounts your camera straight to your wrist, but you can be confident you're not going to drop it on the street and smash your lens. But at least then you can have your camera perfectly in your hand to get all different angles, be able to shoot people as they walk past without having to try and yank your camera away from your chest. A lot of the times you can actually get away with not using a camera bag when you're using both of these straps together at the same time. You can sort of use the neck strap to carry your camera, and then when you're getting into like rapid photo mode, as I like to call it in my head, then you can swap onto the wrist strap, put your strap away, and you're not having to carry a whole bag with you in the process. The second mistake that people often make is not experimenting with distance between themselves and their subjects. So whether this is a part of your environment as your subject or it's an individual person, you might see a subject and just react and take a photo. But it might be worth considering, okay, if it's a person, are they staying where they are? Are they sat down, for example? Or if it's an object, it's not going anywhere. If your first shot is quite close up, try experimenting with your depth of field and then just take a few steps back. Drop down your f-stop, try bring a bit more into focus and play with the composition, and then take a few more steps back. And instead of getting lots of close-up shots on your day and lots of wide shots on your day, try look at one subject and shoot it at different distances and just see what comes out of it. It might be nothing, but you get to experiment a little bit more, and maybe you're taking shots that you don't naturally lean towards. Mistake number 3 is not experimenting with your tools. So whether this is just your shutter speed and aperture, or if this is using something like a flash gun, or even diffusion filters. In this example, we're going to look at the diffusion filter I have on my 50mm, and then also my variable ND diffusion filter. Starting off with just the standard diffusion filter, this means you can add a little bit of highlight bloom to a lot of your scenes. And if you're someone who tends to shoot video and you kind of like a cinematic look to your footage and your photos, using a diffusion filter is quite common within filmmaking. And when you experiment with them in photography, it really blooms out a lot of the highlights and creates a bit more atmosphere and overall more of a cinematic vibe, especially if you do kind of filmy analog photography edits. Then using the variable ND diffusion filter, when we pair this up with experimenting with our shutter speed, we can create some really cool effects. So first is going to be some like long exposure. So I found these two guys crossing the road in Stevenson Square, and then I used the variable ND to compensate for my slow shutter speed to then get a long exposure. Then I photographed these two guys while I was still and they were still, but a car was driving by in the background, then creating this background blur behind the two stationary subjects. And these are the sort of shots that you can only accomplish with something like a variable ND filter. With the added diffusion on this particular ND filter, I think it creates a really nice look. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.